Hey everybody, what's up? This is Chris from T3 Handicapping, and I'm here to bring you the card for Thursday, October 7th, 2021 from Indiana Grand. If you want to follow my picks on Twitter and get the latest updates, you can do so at Handicapping T3. And especially for Thursday's card, I'm going to strongly encourage you to do that because it looks like there's going to be a slew of changes on the way. If you do want to purchase the picks, the worksheets, the grids, it's all included. But if you want to purchase any of that for Indiana Grand or on Thursday for Gulfstream Park as well, those are available. Just reach out to me via email. I'm hoping to have an online store set up here very soon so that you can just purchase those on the fly. But for right now, I'm still doing it the old fashioned way. Just reach out to me via email. I do have those available for $2. But again, as I've mentioned before, if you have a track that you're playing, maybe you're playing at Belmont or something like that, and you want some picks from there, just reach out to me and we can get something set up. So reach out to me, t3handicapping at gmail.com if you want to purchase the picks. But if you're just looking to follow the picks from Indiana Grand, you can do so at Handicapping T3. Now, before I get into the card for Thursday, I usually look back at Wednesday. I don't have an official slide set up for it. Overall, the early part of the card was a little brutal for me. Some of those horses that I gave out as top plays at the beginning of the day just didn't really pan out. And was kind of on a little bit of a skid there. But luckily, I came back really strong coming through, particularly the late pick four. And I did mention that in the late pick five, I would have probably singled the five into it. I ended up not playing the five, but I did, or the pick five, but I did end up playing a significant win bet on the number five in that race that would have kicked off the pick five and was correct there. And then I went A, and C in the late pick four, which wasn't great, but it ended up paying out $112. I was correct in that the leg that I was least confident in was the one where the longest shot came in, and that's what really boosted the value of the pick. So even if you had played my tickets exactly as I gave them out, you would have spent about $50 and in turn won 112. So you more than doubled your money. Not great for a pick four, but all things considered, pretty good return on investment. So um, we'll get in here to Thursday's card, hoping to parlay some of that success. But there is some big caveats that I have when it comes to this card. So let's take a look. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up here. I think I should have. Using a different software here today. So I'm going to go through today's card, just the late pick five. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go through this one really fast. And the main reason for doing that is I just don't feel that confident in these picks for Thursday's card, which is tough because Thursday is the day they do the Exactamundo contest, and that's one that I've been participating in pretty regularly. So I like when I feel like I have a really good read on the Thursday card. I just don't on this one. And I think as somebody who's giving out picks, I think it's important to let people know that all picks are not created the same. I'm very shaky on what this Thursday looks like, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that it basically rained most of Wednesday into. What will be the Thursday card. So I'm just not sure that we're going to have the conditions that would make it suitable for having a lot of success. I will point out some top plays that I have early on here. Race number one, I like the number 8, Sweet Sky, outside post, early speed, 11-point curve advantage on the rest of the field. Seems like the horse to beat. That's definitely the one that I'm going to use. But at 6 to 5, it's pretty likely that the horse is going to get bet down and is going to offer no value. So I've got this one on my radar as a watch. And if the price is right, if it sits at 6 to 5, I'll take a swing. If it drops below even money before we load the gate, I'm probably going to pass. The next race, and sorry for being not very creative here, but my other top play came out of this race, Lady Gusto, as a 14-point advantage on anybody else. Now, the one thing that I will say about this horse, and then I know this horse is really heavily favored for good connections, this is a very similar spot to one of my top selections early in Wednesday's card that was also an S0 in a race where I didn't think that there would be much pace. I think that horse was actually a P3. But again, a late running closer. And I even said I thought that horse could be a little bit closer today because I didn't think there was any pace in the race. Well, it turns out that horse just can't get to the front. And this might be one that's in kind of the same boat. This is a horse that, I mean, on the past performance line, the only time it won was at Oaklawn Park, coming from 8 2/4 out of it. So this is probably one that, even though the numbers came up with, I might actually pass on. And I think you might be able to actually bet against this horse early in the card. And if you beat him, coming off of that odds line, boy, are you going to be satisfied with the results. So I don't know. I'm going to kind of see. I'm going to watch the first race and see if horses are making up ground at all. If it's a merry-go-round, I'm going to play hard against this one. And if it is not a merry-go-round, if it's really looking like a closer, then I might single really hard into Lady Gusto, or I might just pass and just be a spectator. And I think sometimes there's a lot of value in that. I'm going to skip the third race altogether. It's made in special weight. It's on the turf, bunch of lightly raced horses. Frankly, I don't think we're going to see the grass tomorrow. So I left the handicapping for grass in, but I think it's more than likely that we're going to be taken off. And I just didn't really feel like there was a lot of value here in going through 14 horses that have barely raced in a surface that I don't think we're going to run on. So we're basically going to look at the late pick five. And again, like I said, I'm just not super confident in where I'm at with these picks. So I'm going to kind of go through them quick, point out the horses that came up on my radar. But one of the things that I like to do, if I know there's rain in the forecast and I know there's a possibility that we're going to have a lot of changes, whether they change surfaces or not, when the turf goes from fast to good, or if they even take it down to yielding, I don't think that they would. But if they did, you have horses that don't like soft ground, so trainers will scratch them for that. They were expecting fast, and now they get yielding. They were expecting a fast dirt track, and now they're getting sloppy or muddy. They're going to pull their horses. And so, what I like to do is I like to sort of just throw down my picks. And then I just like to leave them. I don't like to do too much digging, too much investigating, because I feel like I'm going to have to re-handicap the race tomorrow. And I don't want to come in with too many preconceived notions of who's going to win and who's not, because on a rainy, wet day, you need to be agile and flexible. And so I'm going to kind of just run you through who made my initial set of picks, and then I'm going to go from there. I will tell you, I don't have a top play anywhere in this. So for me, unless there's massive changes that come down that elevate one of these horses, this is going to be a sequence that I probably end up having to break down and play more like doubles and triples, or doubles and pick threes underneath, rather than trying to hit the pick five, because I just don't know where I can go skinny as it stands right now. One thing you will notice in common about all these races is they're all fast paces. I think the lowest one's a 20 out of 24. So this one's a class level 9, so we got those good horses going. My top selections here are the 1, Jolting Joe, as a 98 A plus, the number 2, Quality Step, 100 A plus. The 3 and 4 are both tosses. Market Off has that early speed and is a B minus at an 80. Sniper Kitten is a 94A. I'm tossing the 7, the 8, and then the 9 and 10 are, and the 11 are main tracked only. The 11 comes out as a player. You can see it's even money. But again, main track only. So things are likely to shift around. I do think we'll probably be on the main track, and I want to be able to recalibrate as we go. So, as things stand right now, in race number 4, which kicks off the late pick 5, I should say the pick 5 since they only have one at Indiana Grand. But right now, the way it shows is 2, 1, 6, and 11 all as A's, and 5 as a B. No seahorses in this. Again, because of all the changes that could potentially come down the pike, that's all that I want to do for today, because then tomorrow, when I actually know what's going to be happening, I can come back to it and say, okay, these were my contenders before. Let's take a look at how things have adjusted and see if I want to elevate or downgrade horses accordingly. But it kind of gives me, I think, a more complete picture. But I hate getting too locked into a pick when there's going to be massive changes. So 18, so we're at a much lower level of horse. 21, though. So again, another fast pace. Dr. Foreman's got some early speed, 81 B minus. Botswana, again, shows some front running style, 99 A plus. Frankincense, 93 A minus. Berserk actually is my top rated horse, but take a look at how ugly that aggregate number is, a 69. So that should tell you this is a wide open race that really anybody can win. I'm going to move away from Bourbon Tan, and here comes your man. Ransack is going to be a B plus. The 90 is a rounding error, so it's like an 89.8 or something like that. I'm going to skip Angelino coming from out of it. Amani's Kitten is a P type, but can show a little bit of speed. You can see that there. Mesa Skyline is a toss for me, and the main track only right now is a toss for me. So when all is said and done, the A's are 4-2, and again, the 3-9, and this little rainbow over the 3-9 means that they write it out exactly the same on my formula. 7-1 as B's. And I'm just going to stick with that for now, and then when we know what the field actually looks like, and have updated the ratings, I'll be able to come back to that. So, um, excuse me. Moving on here, race number 6. We're going 5 furlongs on the turf. Supposedly, we're going 7 furlongs and 21 for pace. So, as I look here, Never Have I Ever is one that's very interesting to me. 91, good speed, coming off the rail. We'll kind of have to wait and see again, because obviously if this thing comes off the turf, that changes things. The one off turf effort was not very good at Hawthorne. X prompt 70 C minus. Ash flat is a no use for me right now. Rolling with Olin 71 C minus. Jazzy Time 79 C plus. That's one at 2-1. That's a seahorse for me. Again, if everybody stays in, that's probably one I would look to use, not use. But again, as horses come out, I don't know. Shinobi 93A, keeping it classy 76C, and then main track only Rob the Rich. Rodney Prescott has been on just an absolute tear as of late. He and Deshaun Parker, it feels like are winning 60% of the card every day. My A's in this race, 1 and 6. My C's are 5, 7, 4, and 2. But again, you're looking at a turf race that's likely to come off, and that's going to change everything. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Handicapping T3. Once those changes become official, I will update my picks, A's and B's, for all the races based on the new conditions. And that does, by the way, also include distance changes, so I will update those too. Race number 7, 5.5 furlongs, going on the dirt. This one will stay, but the condition may change. 14 for class, so we're kind of right in the middle of what we've been looking at, but definitely airing towards the lower level of horses that we've seen. Still not up in the 20s. Does look like it's going to be a fast pace. I'm not using either of the two, well, really any of the 5 inside posts, and I'm going to come to Flat Out Prize. That great early speed, 96A. A little nervous about the layoff, but you can see the connections are good there. So I'll use that one. I'll skip the 7, but I will use Chicks for Free. You can see an 84, which is a pretty standard aggregate number for a favor or for the top selection. Here, Illuminati is one that did not rate out particularly well, but does have that early speed and one I want to consider. Illuminati's run at my home track, Canterbury, over the course of the summer, and now makes the way down to Indiana Grand. So, Mind Your Own Biz. The Gray Blur is an 85 and a B for me. And so this race right now is pretty sparse, 8, 6, and 10. But again, that's subject to change as things, as the weather improves. Or as the weather, I should say, makes the picture more clear, and improves our clarity on what the races will look like. I don't think the weather's going to improve before the weekend. So, race number 8, we're going 5.5 furlongs on the dirt, class of 10. So again, we're coming back down. These are now more elevated horses in this allowance level. Even though the purse structure isn't very high, they're still allowance caliber horses, which is important. They're not in for tags, and you're going to have a 22 pretty quick pace. Once We Were Brothers got a 92 A minus. Music to My Ears 97 A plus. El Pequeen I'm not using, although I'm also curious about this E7. That's something I'm going to want to keep an eye on, especially as we get to race 8. We'll know how speed is playing. It's typically very good. Cabot Trail, A plus 79 as the top selection. That's not great. I'd like to see that 82 or better. That tends to be sort of the sweet spot for the top selections. Golden Notion, 82 B minus. Skipping Willow Ridge, 95 Supercharger, 95A. Comfort Me Now, 82 B minus. Rushed, 77 C plus. So when all's said and done, you can see I've got a really wide open board here. 4, 2, 7, and 1, all on the A line. I've got the 5 and the 8 on the B line, and I've got 9 as a C horse. This is where I stand right now. Plenty of horses to choose from. There's a lot of horses in several of the legs. Not feasible to play a pick five the way that I have it laid out here. It just isn't. You're never going to make your money back playing pick fives that way. Part of what made my pick four successful today on Wednesday is the fact it was super narrow. $112 for a pick four is not good enough, but I was, one level away from hitting that thing three times, and even if I had gotten, 112, that could have been $300 pretty easily. So keeping it narrow and pressing up those opinions is what's really important. So I am just not even considering this a pick five sequence that I can play tomorrow. But the reason that I wanted to go through it this way is I do feel like I've culled it down to horses that I feel can compete. And now, once the scratches and changes come out, we might see a horse kind of rise to the top as a potential single. And once you can find a single or maybe even two singles within a pick five sequence, it becomes very playable. So, um, hopefully, this gave you some ideas at least to take in. Hopefully, you have a little more clarity than I do, or hopefully, the weather conditions give us more clarity as we get closer to the actual racing itself. Again, if you want to follow those changes, you want to know what's going on. And see the picks once the scratches have happened. You can follow me on Twitter at handicapping T3, and then you can flip that if you want to purchase the picks instead of handicapping T3. It's T3 handicapping at gmail.com. Just shoot me an email. Let me know what tracks you want. I'll get you the Venmo, PayPal information, and the cost of that particular track. But Gulfstream and Indiana are the ones that I have readily available for tomorrow. If there's a different one that you would like, just reach out. Continue to spread the word about this channel. I love getting subscribers from on YouTube. I love getting followers on Twitter, and I really appreciate. We've had a couple of you guys comment down below and just kind of welcome yourselves to the channel. I love seeing that. It's great to put some names to the subscribers. So continue to do that. I hope you guys have a great day at Indiana Grand on Thursday, October 7th. And if you're not playing Indiana Grand, wherever you may play, best of luck to you.